I am Carlesa Sneed. I'm a supervisory special agent out of the Washington field office. I'm originally from Halifax County, Virginia. I've been a special agent for 12 years. I've been in the Bureau for 15 years. It inspired me to become an FBI agent when I was in middle school. I was around 13 years old. I visited the only Walmart in our small town and saw a flyer for a missing child on a board there. Went over, looked at it, and realized that there was some parent, some family somewhere who did not know where their child was. And that day, that really did strike me, how unacceptable, how evil I felt that was. And I decided at that point that I wanted to find missing children as a career. And upon my research, realized that the FBI was the best of the best at doing that. And so I made it my mission from that point in middle school to become an FBI agent. I'm a musician. I love music, and and a writer. I would say if I were not an FBI agent, I could only see myself writing songs, writing music. The steps that I took personally to prepare for this job was that I well-researched the FBI. I wanted to know exactly what I was getting myself into. I wanted to know the history of this organization, if it was a history I could support, if it was an organization whose values I could defend. I wanted to know, first of all, in terms of who we are, if it were a good fit, me and the FBI. So I did a lot of research about what the FBI did and kind of the backstory of how we got started and what we have been over the decades. I reached out, took the initiative to reach out to people who worked in the FBI, called the FBI, reached out to some recruiters to then begin to establish relationships with people who could firsthand tell me what this job was and give me a greater insight into what their day-to-day was. And so by the time I felt I made that decision in middle school, but by the time I got to college, it was pretty much solid for me that this is what I wanted to do based upon the research and based upon the relationships. The most rewarding part of my job as an agent is that I get to do good for a living. I don't know that there are too many job roles anywhere in any country that one gets to say that one gets to get up every day and get dressed and out the door to go do something good for somebody somewhere. And the fact that I get to do something good every day for someone, whether it be folks internally to the FBI as a supervisor or obviously the people we protect, it is a gift. It is a gift, and it is a dream, and I'm so grateful for that. Personally, I have learned since becoming an agent that I am a champion. These things were not created in me by the FBI. Obviously, my mother, my father, my grandparents, the farm I grew up on, those are the folks that I give credit for instilling the champion in me. But the FBI has given me the opportunity every single day to flex that muscle, if you will, to hone that skill, to know that I'm a strong person, to know that I can overcome hard things, because we do that in the FBI every day. We face hard things and we overcome hard things every single day. And so I have learned personally that I am a champion. There's nothing that I can put my mind to and not accomplish. I think the greatest myth about being an FBI agent that is not true would be that, and I think it's broad to law enforcement, not just FBI. I think there's a perception that law enforcement professionals are cold-hearted or cold-natured people. Also that we are people who seek power, that we are people who seek some kind of position or notoriety, when I believe that quite opposite is true. That we are some of the warmest people, some of the most loving people, and we are drawn actually to these jobs because we love perfect strangers. I think the misconception is that we are someone that we aren't. People who run towards danger are the best natured people. They have the best intentions, I think, of anybody anywhere. And so I think that would be the greatest misconception, that we are by nature someone that we aren't. That the truth is we are good people, we are humble people, we are loving people, we are faithful people. I think the greatest myth about being a black special agent is probably that we don't exist. I'm certainly a testimony that we're here. My friends and colleagues are certainly testimonies that this organization, though it has a ways to go in diversity, that we are diverse. We're certainly represented here. And I don't know that people have heard our stories or seen our faces enough to recognize that, that we've been here for 100 years. And we've been contributing in huge ways for 100 years. And so I would say that is the greatest myth. My dream location, I'd have to say it used to be Charlotte because it's southern, and I would love to get back south closer to where I'm from. But I've been in D.C. for so long, and I've been specifically between the Washington field office and the FBI headquarters for so long that I feel so much a part of this community. I feel very committed to this community. My family is here. We benefit in every way from being right here in the community where I currently serve, that this might just be my dream at this point. First, I would like young African American children to know that they can. I think that's the greatest message. I want them to know that if I am here, they can be here. And because others were here before me, they can be here. I want them to know that this is attainable, and I want them to be inspired and encouraged to do whatever it is in life that they feel called to do. I would say if the FBI or anything great, and anything great should be their ambition, they should do the basics. They should be mindful of their company. They should watch who their friends are. They should try their very best to avoid the really big mistakes, the ones that would land them in jail. They should be mindful of social media, the downfalls of social media. They should be aware that there is no eraser that will correct their behavior online, that an organization like the FBI will not see one day when they're applying for this great job or another great job. And so I would say, be mindful of your friends. Be mindful of the dangers of social media. Make sure that it represents you well in terms of who it is that you strive to exhibit to the world, who you want the world to, what you want the world to know about you. And I would just say, be the best of who you can be now. Being a good person does not start later. It starts now. And as you grow and as you gain life experiences, they will cultivate what already exists. So strive to be a good person now. I've done a significant amount of traveling. I've been a lot of places. I still would say that the one place I have yet to visit that I would love to visit would be the current living conditions of Native Americans. I would love to visit, if I were allowed, the areas in which they live now. They're very small spaces, obviously, and very rural areas in this country. And they don't exist as they should. But what does exist, I would love to visit them and to learn a lot more about their culture. In my spare time, I can be found home, because I'm a homebody, with my children, with my family, cooking, because that is something that I love to do, and writing. I'm a writer, so I love to cook, and in my spare time, I love to write. But whatever I'm doing it with my family. I'm currently reading Wolfpack by Amy Wambach. It's a pretty short book, an easy read, but one of the most profound reads that I have ever read. Amy talks a lot about women in leadership. She says things like, "You're not Little Red Riding Hood, you're the wolf." She says things like that have struck me, like, be grateful, but be grateful and be brave. Be grateful and be audacious. Be grateful and be moving forward. Be grateful for what you have and demand what you deserve. And that is some of the best reading that's inspired me a lot lately. My musical playlist is colorful because I love all kinds of music. And so I have Chicago, the Eagles, Bonnie Raitt, Tank, who's an R&B artist, Jodeci, Chris Brown, hip-hop of all kinds, country music, Christian, contemporary music, as well as gospel. If you name it, it is on my playlist, because I'm pretty broad that way. The quote that I would identify in an attempt to encourage other special agents who are currently active, but as well as all kinds of folks in a time like this, would be not overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good, Romans 12:21. Our mission is very defined. We uphold the Constitution, we protect the American people, and we do that every day because we choose to overcome evil with good. And so what I would encourage my fellow agents and others to do is to always focus on that we have, since 1908, overcome evil with good, that we will, in 2019 and forward, overcome evil with good. And so I would encourage my comrades to focus, to remember who we are, what we do, why we do it, that every tough season tends to pass on by at some point, and to be not overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. It is so important, so significant that the FBI would recognize African Americans in service to this organization as special agents at the 100-year mark, because so many African American men and women over the course of 100 years have given to what is now the legacy, the rich history, the rich family that the FBI is. And what is really most important, I believe, about that is that those brave, and I do believe they were the bravest of men and women, who came to the FBI at a time when they were not welcome anywhere in this country, despite the odds, despite the unfairness, despite the very often gruesome conditions from which they came here to make a difference, to open a door. They saw me somewhere way down the road and they made a way for me. And so it is so important that the FBI recognize that these aren't just regular brave women and men. We all are. These were extra special brave women and men because they came at a time that the odds were so stacked against African Americans as a culture. And yet they showed up to this door, they knocked on it, and they very often kicked it in and came on in to make a way for people like me. And so the FBI had to acknowledge these people. You know, I will leave with this, that there's so many great, fulfilling, productive careers. There's so many places you can go and make a lot of money and do good in that process. But the FBI is a very special place in that the best people come here to do the best work for the best people, who are the American people, that we really do in the FBI serve from a place of a very distinct love for our country, a very distinct love for our values, a very distinct love for the FBI family. And we can search the world, and there are a lot of great jobs, but we're going to search the world and we're not going to find one better than this one. They don't exist. This is as good as it gets. To be able to come to a place every day to do good for a living with people who want to also be here to do good for a living. It is an honor, and it is a privilege, and it is a joy.